he was hell bent on becoming famous.
Oh, sure he was.
He was going to become famous.
No matter what.
No matter what.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And he did.
Yeah.
He became real famous.
Oh my God.
Like only the
And
highest selling
are we
American artist.
Most expensive paintings ever sold at auction, with one thing in common. None of the painters are American.
But that all changed on Thursday when this painting by Jean-Michel Basquiat sold for $110.5 million.
And we'd go to my club and we all partied together. We were a big group of incestuous teenagers.
Sure.
So that's what it was, the 70s.
So do you want to hear things?
I want to hear your
chronologically?
story.
I knew him even before City of School. I
You
met
did?
him in '76 in Washington Square Park.
Oh, okay.
And he had the most beautiful eyes.
It's charming, really charming.
Yeah. We would go and look at the art, and we had a teacher who would teach us about this particular artist and that artist and this period of artwork in MoMA. And when we were sitting down in the circle, when they would do the discussion part afterwards, I don't know that he drew those then, but I know that every week in that class he would take my notebook as soon as he sat down, sat next to me, and start sketching.
He was a consumer of art.
Was.
Looked at
No
art.
doubt.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, well he did from the time he was little, and then, even just taking that class, it was a great class.
Right, with Sylvia Milgram. That's what we did. Instead of reading about art, we were standing, at the MoMA looking at
talk
the stuff,
about it. And it was very organic, and
right. It was very cool.
Yeah, it was very cool.
And once again, it was a privilege to be able to do this.
Yeah,
I'm constantly
but
drawing.
he was
I
constantly, he was constantly drawing in the books when we were on the steps. He used to draw in Washington Square on the books. I mean, we walked around in the 70s with those black sketchbooks, and everyone would draw on everyone's. I liked him.
Jean he was articulate. He was
Funny.
Perceptive. He was a very brilliant person.
He had been out with you and maybe Shannon. Jean sat down next to me and you guys wandered off somewhere, and he goes, "We have just come up with the tag Samo." And he said,
He told you that.
And he said, "I am going to be so famous."
He told you this.
Yes. Well, we were sitting there in the spring of 1978. I'm serious about that. No, I
It's great that
remember
you remember that.
But if I wanted to sell it, I could at some point.
A lot of nobody authenticates anymore. They don't exist. I mean,
Oh.
as an authenticating committee.
This one, because it says, "I don't like this."
Those are definitely Basquiat.
Oh yeah, they are.
There's no doubt about it.
And there's a signature.
This kind of Peter Max thing that he was doing. Oh my God, this is so.
1978.
So those are in really excellent condition. I don't know what you want to do with them. Hold on to them for posterity, although they're worth something. They're probably worth quite a bit of money.
This is a document of who he was at a particular moment in his own life, and that it reminds me of the beginnings of Samo.
It was the same spring of '78.
I think
right.
the other thing that's important about this and your own relationship to him is that it disrupts the idea that he was this autodidact, that he was a self-taught artist. The part where he says, "I don't like this," and he sort of rejects it, do you remember at all why he didn't like it?
I don't.
Do you remember where you were when you did it?
We could have been in the museum. We could have been on the steps in front of City of School in Brooklyn Heights. Once, I don't know. We could have. I mean, I knew him for those 2 years, and we used to hang out in lots of different places.
I just came back from the closing of the show, the Louis Vuitton show in Paris, and there was an entire wall dedicated to his pictures of faces, but none of them look like this. They were all sort of like oil stick. I feel like his notebooks have gotten a lot of attention in the past couple years. Like there was a show in Miami and Brooklyn Museum on just the notebooks, but I feel like the focus is always on the text in the context of poetry or Samo. In terms of sketches of figures in pen is rare. I remember the wall that I saw were mostly oil stick portraits. And I feel like the other thing about both of the pieces, but particularly this one, I feel like it also reminds me of a drawing he did that he said was a self-portrait. So I think that's the other thing too, is that it's also valuable because it's like.
Oh, I've always thought that there were images of that being a self-portrait.